as we're rolling our first shot.
Pop, pop, pop. Not one, multiple. And then we started blowing breakers in this old ass track building.
The same concept and same idea could have been brought to someone else, and they would have attacked it completely differently.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Hey, we have to be like gone in an hour. I'm like, you're not helping.
There's parts where like we needed it to like move.
We needed to get the heart rate moving.
Yeah, and it was a real heart rate monitor, so I had it attached to me, and I was just doing jumping jacks, and I was just like running around trying to like get it to go. Because even like when we were doing the first shot with the push in, it's like, oh, we got to raise her. Like, can we raise this like 1 centimeter? And you're like, that's 7 minutes gone. Today, we are breaking down one of the biggest spec projects we've done. We almost completely failed this one. We almost made huge mistakes that we couldn't even get to the end because we didn't plan properly for them. But we're going to tell you how we got there, how we overcame all these problems, and ultimately made one of the best spec projects that we've made to this day. Today, we're breaking down On Defy, which is a running spec that we created last year. And it was one of the biggest ones in terms of scale. And we're going to show you guys how you can do your spec projects better, things to avoid, things to do and think about as you start to plan different projects. So let's dive right into it.
Where did this project come from?
Yeah. So
not even the idea, the project.
Yeah. We had been leading up to something like this for quite a while. We had just come off the Ben Flanagan project from probably like the last 6 months or so, which was another On project. And so we'd been building this rapport and this relationship with On for a while. And our connect in the city, I don't know, we're always just working on spec.
Yeah.
There's always something in the books somewhere, whether it's fully cooked or half cooked, it's on the way to that place. And so I knew something, it was summertime-ish, and we were like, might as well do something with our time. And I always go for the easiest access in most cases.
Yep.
For me, that's working with this brand. We have access to it. We know we can get gear. So the hardest part really becomes, what's an idea good enough, but also getting that talent. So really, those are the only two. So for us, that's like, let's move that along. So I've been stirring on an idea for a bit, but I needed some inspiration. I felt like we were kind of like in a lull. And sometimes when there's nothing that's sparking it, for the most part, there's no like fire under you to like really get you going. And I just kind of sat around.
And to give you guys context, we were still working.
Yeah.
We still had a bunch of stuff that we were running to do, but there's still that creative gap that we wanted to fill, just to clarify.
Yeah, we always try to fill that gap because there's times where you just get into this long lull of like real projects.
Yeah.
And you're like, nothing is postable, nothing feels like it's fun or cool. And so the place where this started was, I was just talking to my buddy who works at On, and he was like, hey, I don't know if you guys are like doing anything, but in about 4 weeks, we have one of our runners coming to the city. And he's new. If you want to create something with him, you have full access. And usually for us, I go to Zach right away and I'm like, yo, there's something cool here.
Yeah. Usually you have like, hey, there's this runner. Here's this product. I have this general idea. Is this possible? I feel like that's always the beginning conversations with me.
Yeah.
Can we do something with this? I'm like,
yeah.
Always. Like if we have somebody and we have the product, then
let's just do something.
Like the beauty with this client specifically when it comes to spec work, again, we are funding everything. They just give us the product and the people. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty much full creativity.
Yeah.
Also because we're funding it, we have full control. There's no real say from the outside external. And it's not like they're going to post it either. That's the thing with spec like this. They never post it. Like that's not the point, right?
It's just the athlete who posts it. That's basically it.
And even then, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, really, it's for us because we just want to flex on our muscles of like, the creative side of things. And so that was the parameter. We got, hey, we have 4 weeks. Can you get something done? I didn't even bring it to you until I had an idea sorted out yet.
Yeah. I feel like, you brought me a director's treatment as well as who we're going to be working with and the product that we're going to highlight. Yeah. That was basically it.
Yeah. In most cases, we have very little like front end information. So in this case, we had the talent.
Yep.
We had the timeline. Delivery doesn't matter because it was our choice.
Whenever.
And then when it comes to any rights or licensing, that's all standardized stuff, whatever. Yep. But he told me on like a Thursday. By Sunday, I'm like, okay, let me just get a director's treatment done.
Yep.
Let me send this back to him just to make sure we're kind of somewhat aligned. It's a crazy foreshadowing in the future. So this is great. And then we pretty much, I presented to him and I presented to you at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where we start to connect.
Yeah. So now I feel like let's talk about the idea, because the reason why we want to talk about this is because the final product that we got was amazing. Super happy with it. It's complete different direction, not really different direction, but completely different from where we kind of started.
Yeah.
The whole general idea was there, but there are a lot of things that changed just to a lot of things that happened. So let's rewind to the original idea and the directors of treatment and everything. And the idea was pretty solid, and it was inspiration from a lot of the work that you see out there with top athletes.
Yeah. It's become like a running theme, starting from the Ben Flanagan one, which was his lead up to the Olympics and like being in the mindset of getting to that next place, right? It's like these are people at the highest level of their sport, and it's really about what demons do you kind of have to fight in your head to like really push. So that was kind of like a basis, and then with this new athlete also trying to get to that like Olympic level as well. I just wanted to do it like an elevation of that, but then come at it from more of a external perspective. So from the Ben Flanagan one, it was really about like what numbers do I have to hit every time I run 400 meters or whatever, and it was very like time based. And then this one was much more about defying the odds. And so actually the place I started from was that smaller concept there, and then building it out through places like ChatGPT and just like looking at different references out there. I created somewhat of a formalized script that was meant to be more of like a 60-second. And so there was much more length and talking parts in there. And then, I kind of just wrote it out, made the whole thing look and feel. All these found a bunch of references, some from Adidas, some from like other running brands, but some like non-adjacent type of brands as well.
Yeah.
But it was meant to be dark and moody. It was meant to have, I knew coming into this, I wanted to push the boundaries in terms of what we offer.
Yeah, you wanted to go through stuff.
I wanted to do stuff.
You said to me like, "Hey, this is going to be our first VFX piece, like legit."
Yeah.
In terms of having it being a lot involved in terms of planning everything that we're doing.
Yeah, and mainly because it was like a combo. Like knowing that you're already a part of it, I know what scope and capabilities we have, and then one of the first people I asked to jump on board as well was Nick Umel, which was the editor for this. And looking at Nick's work, I've already seen versions.
It's already his exact wheelhouse. He loves this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the beauty of building a team that's very structured around, what the end goal is. You're looking for people that I know you can shoot this specific look because we've been building towards it. And I know Nick can edit this specific work because that's kind of the style that he does already. And so I started just pulling very unique places. And I knew there's like a limitation too, because we're the ones that were funding this project. I knew we couldn't blow like $30,000 on this project. Had to keep it somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
Knowing what we can create and what we can do in such a kind of like a tight timeline, we just sat down and we're just like, cool. We want to do some interesting whips. We want to do the VFX door. How we're gonna get there, don't know yet. We want to really dial in on super slow mo. So like almost like that Ember kind of phantom feel.
Yeah, I feel like in the director's treatment, because I know you guys don't necessarily, whoever's listening doesn't have a visualization. The big thing that you want to do, from what I remember, you wanted to have a clinical scene where this person is training and being observed.
Yeah.
That was huge. You communicated that well. Then you had this black void of her being almost like flashed by like the cameras and what that struggle looks like. So this paparazzi black void world.
Yeah.
And then reaching towards this door that would be the spine of the entire piece.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to defy the odds to get to this place.
Yeah.
And then the last one, no, that was it.
Yeah, that was more. And like, that's more or less it.
Oh, then we just had some in between stuff, which was just showcasing her, like those random reflection moments, and still in that black world.
Yeah,
and that was basically
more or less it.
Yeah.
Like as a director coming into this, it's trying to visualize what the story is. So I always like to work off of a script, especially for stuff like this, because it's much easier for me to think about how do I visualize defying something, right? Like what are the odds? Getting through that door or getting to a place is like a journey and a destination. When it was the black void, I thought a lot about, what does it feel when your head's kind of just empty and that's all you think about? It's like, it's just singular, right? Like these ideas are just one thing in your head. When it's the paparazzi stuff, that kind of came from you know, a life experience, which I always talk about, like unfair advantage. Like, what are you listening to and taking in? But it was about, you know, there was like a race recently before that, and there was just so much pressure on these athletes. And then the questions they were asking them is like, this guy is so tired after a race, and you're asking them like the craziest questions, like like they're just trying to run, but they are forced to go through these kind of like trials and tribulations of like media.
Hey, have you ever felt stuck as a videographer and want to push past the $2,500 to $5,000 projects and really start creating work that feels a lot more intentional? I feel like we did this with our business constantly with making spec work. And this is one of the most important things that we did that propelled ourselves as a production company. And that's why we created Cinematic Portfolio Mastery. This is a cohort-style course where we take you through the entire process on how to make a spec commercial for a whole 6 weeks. By the end of this 6 weeks, you will have a spec project for yourself that you can start marketing and push yourself where exactly you want to go in your filmmaking career. Check out the link in the description below to join the waitlist now.
And then like even the running thing in the beginning, pushing through the window, like that was like how people visualize seeing runners run,
like
right?
Hardcore training.
Yeah, hardcore
like
training, but
elite
also
athletes.
Yeah, it's like someone like imagine you were like a scientist or whatever studying them from behind there. Yeah. It's just like that's the level of how much these people put their bodies through and like all that stuff. So that was the visualization and transfer over, and that's something that as much as you can look at references out there, like that's something that you have to bring to the table as the creative. And then I brought that to you, and I'm like, okay, how do we visualize this?
It's really interesting because now that you explain all these scenes, I'm like, I totally understand that. And I find it interesting because that's one of my weak points in terms of even understanding where people get their ideas. Like I constantly ask you, I constantly ask Justin of like, where did you get that idea from? And then it's from, you're so invested in running, you observe it, you watch it, you know these athletes, you're friends with some of these athletes, and then you can see those experiences and you're like, oh, how can I visualize this in a cinematic and commercial way?
Yeah.
Right?
My favorite like thought here is that the same concept and same idea could have been brought to someone else and they would have attacked it completely differently.
Totally different.
Yeah, which is why triple bids exists, right? Yep. For agencies, is like, okay, we have one core concept, but like how would different people with their life experiences and approaches look at a project? So it's really interesting that this is the practiced skill that we have to get really good at, which is why we do direction treatments in practice. 100%. So that's where the idea was. And then we brought it to you, obviously with this type timeline. I don't know what was going through your brain.
I don't even know what was happening at the time. I was just excited because this was exactly what, we've been building up in terms of our look and like all the running projects that we've done in the past. And then just coming off of Ben, going into this one, I'm like, oh, this is the evolution of that. Because I feel like Ben was still planned, but it was more capture and more story, narrative commercial. Well, this one is just purely like commercial. And it has that like style that I absolutely love, that I've built everything off of, which is like those whips, transitions, very complicated and practical lighting setups as well. So yeah. I was really excited about it. So that just led into, I think we took a step back and we analyzed what we needed. As a cinematographer, you gave me the director's treatment, and then the next thing I would look at is what the look and feel is. Yeah. And then I would figure out an initial list of stuff that I would need. And then you're like, I want VFX, I want super slow-mo, and I want this to feel nitty, like gritty.
Yeah.
Right. Very gritty. I know exactly what look we were going for. Then ultimately, obviously, I had the Venice at the time. So I'm like, okay, that's going to be my main camera. And then we're going to have to do super slow-mo. And then we tested with the FX3 at 240 and it would work for some stuff, but it was 1080. It was pretty crunchy. Yeah. And we're like, okay, let's take it to a new level. And that's when we're using the Ember. And I recently came off a project where I just used that. And it was for Quaker. It was just super slow-mo, like product stuff. So I already had the learning experience of how much lights I would need. And then I talked to you about specific frame rates and stuff like that. So then the last thing would be lensing. And then we're just a big fan of the Zeiss Super Speeds. And we have a plug at 2D for it. And we can get them relatively good for a good price. And I feel like
that's usually the game.
Those
for spec, it's like I'll take the best of what I can really.
Yeah, they're super annoying to work with just because of how they operate and everything like that, and they're just so old and clunky. But they produce the exact look that we were going for.
Yeah, the cool thing is I never really care about this part. right? It's like
I
Zach
do.
tells me the list. He's probably going to talk to the producer in
Yeah.
this case, and then it's like cool. Like we just have so different approaches when it comes to
Well, it
planning
never
for this.
used to be like that too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the level of trust that we have
Yeah,
at that point, right? Because we used to be involved in every process, everybody, but then realized like, oh, that's not spending your time smartly. So that, and that's obviously trusting you. I trusted you with the creative and you talking to client and moving that forward. And then I was just working on gear, crew, and all that stuff.
yeah. This is why we do this, because if Zach was a part of every single conversation,
Oh.
opening emails and everything,
I would be so turned off from the project.
yeah, just in general, and like if I had to deal with talking to people about like the technical side, I just don't really care too much about that. Especially with a tight timeline. This is the beauty of like if we didn't have you on board already, if we didn't have a producer to set up all these different things, I think we'll dive into that because that's probably the next natural step. Working with the producer and then finding and locking in locations and trying to go through that process.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing now because then we realize that we need these 3 scenes.
Yeah.
Whatever they look like. How can we maximize a day to actually shoot that? And to give you guys some reference, we had 1 day for a pre-light and then 1 day to shoot plus a unit move. It was absolutely nuts, but that's all we could afford.
Yeah.
Right. So it was looping in the producer and say like, hey, we need a space where we can shoot this black void, which on a technical side, I can just hang Duvetine and that's totally fine.
Yeah, just black out the whole space.
Black it out the whole space.
You need to build a wall.
And then, the next thing was figuring out how we could shoot this clinical scene, which was just going to be, we originally wanted to deck it out a little bit more.
Yeah,
and
with
have
like glass and all that
glass
stuff.
and stuff, and then put like actual, like find a location that has something like that. And then we're kind of stuck on that aspect. But the producer found us a studio. And can we
Just Breathe?
Yeah, it was Breathe. And then we had to connect for that. And they gave us a really good price because they had an overhead rigging where we could hang all the black Duvetine and bring it up and down and also light from the top, which was great. But then we're like, where are we going to set up this clinical scene? And then you had the great idea. You looked at the psych wall. You're like, why don't we just do a white room?
Let's just make your life so much easier.
So much easier. And it was like, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. The thing with the white room idea was originally we are going to build like a, I don't know, it's like an Eminem type music video where it's like,
if you think of like Dr. Dre and Eminem, I Need a Doctor.
Yeah.
That's what we kind of wanted to
we
do.
wanted to like have a room, you can looking through something. Actually, it's like when 50 Cent's like upside down, like I think he's like doing, I don't know which song that is, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like it's legit a room. We'd have to build out walls. We'd have to put up like, and our production designer, Abby, like we would have to like do everything from scratch. And we're like, wait, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot.
Also, it's super expensive. Like every wall adds up. We were already on, well, the budget's built by us, so everything is over that. It costs too much, right? It's like
everything's already over.
Yeah,
budget.
it's already over the second we started. So we just want to keep things as minimal as possible. And we're like, okay, this psych wall is only 2 walls. It's not like a 3 cove, right? So we're like, okay, there's 1 wall on the left, and then there's a back wall. The right wall, there's nothing because it just opens up.
It opens up, yeah.
And then we'd be shooting into that like dead on corner almost, right? Or to that back wall. And we're like, great, if we just get that wall in the front, we can look through that. Now we have a big gap on the right side. So now we just had to get 4 flats that we can fill and then make it look white. And then we're like, hey, we already have VFX. We could probably VFX.
You could clean that up.
Yeah.
And that's what it was mainly doing. That's it. So it didn't fall off into darkness. And then the other wall the builders made was just a wall with a cutout. And then you originally asked me, you're like, oh, like we need to fill that with plexiglass. I'm like, no, we don't.
Yeah, that's
no, we don't. That's we can fake that. We really didn't VFX it. It just worked so well.
It just worked. Yeah. It's truly the whole project was fixing in post.
Yeah,
but we knew our limitations, right? This is always the thing we always talk about of like, you just need to know how far you have to get, and then know how far another party can get you, right? In this case, it was like the VFX team, or color could save that, or you know what I mean? It's like. As long as we know.
That's just experience too.
Yeah.
And then like it would be great to loop in them as we're going, but we didn't necessarily do that. We were just working with a lot of talented individuals who like literally we're going to say that the post team saved the project.
Yeah. Nick did a lot in terms of like even guidance and like moving forward in that stuff. Having the VFX team like just kind of on standby to ask certain questions or figure that stuff out. And then even the color side like really like kept everything cohesive and like blended the whole worlds together. And so it was really cool to see how like a very small nitty gritty team can execute on something so big
large.
feeling. Yeah. But yeah, we could even talk about each individual scene as we get into the production side. But everything stick out to you on the pre-pro?
On the pre-pro, everything was good.
Oh, I know what the big one is.
What?
Leading up to the talent shoot day.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so that's
So
fun.
like everything was going great.
Everything was going great. I got gear secured. I had plans in terms of how we could execute this, but do it on a budget. And then we're on the location scout. Yeah, that's where we left off. We figured out we could do the black room there and then do the white room there.
Yeah,
fantastic. And
I'll
then,
say with the location scout though, and the one thing we probably misstepped on this was not having enough time to do a proper previs.
Yeah.
Because it almost felt like I was making small tinkering changes to the story a bit based on what we had available for the location scout and being like, okay, cool. Maybe we don't have as much time to get all these extra shots. So it really did come down to crunch time when you have like a 4-week timeline and it's tight. And so we got as much as we could with the location scouts, but like we went to the York University, like
right after.
Right
and
after.
then we're like, oh, this is perfect. Right. And then that's when we realized, I'm like, okay, how are we going to build this door? And then I took that on. And then the thing that I messed up on that location scout is that we didn't do a tech. We only had time for a location. So I couldn't bring my gaffer out there, is checking if the plugs were good.
Yeah. So we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But that's something I really messed up on, but you'll see why later. But yeah, the track was perfect. It worked great for us. We only had to do the door scene there. So I'm like, perfect. We actually previs that pretty well because we knew what the shots were.
Yeah.
There were like 3 shots that we needed to get. We needed to get a wide, a side profile, and then like the foot. That was it.
Yeah.
And that was the only shots that we needed there.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the basis. I can't wait to get into the production side of it because things go crazy wild. Leading up to this shoot, I think we were actually moving well.
Yeah,
so
everything was going well.
Felt good. The client side was good because we had to make sure like when's the client land or like when's the client more like the talent landing. What time do we have them for? Great. Okay. The week before, maybe like 3-4 days before, I had gotten an email from the on side and I sent them. They're like, "Hey, can you send us like what you guys are thinking about?" I'm like, "Oh shoot, I thought you guys had this a long time ago." So even though it was a spec, because they were giving us one of their athletes, they still cared about kind of like the overall essence of like what what the look is and what this person's kind of like branding and everything is, right? And because it was a newer athlete, when I sent the treatment over, it was just so dark. This is like my worst nightmare, hearing this stuff because I'm like,
it's too dark.
It's too dark. I'm like, yeah, but do you know what we do? Like we just do dark, super moody commercials. And so they saw the treatments attached to like their athlete and they're like, yeah, we can't do this. We're going to pull out. And I'm like, we're 3 days out. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like this whole project was built on this person, more or less. Right. And we're like, okay, cool. That's fine. Thank you. Immediately, I'm like,
nothing you can really
hey guys,
do.
not to stress you out, but we have no talent for this. And I'm like, and then we just scrambled. Luckily, like I'm in the running space and I knew some other people. And then one of our friends, Aaron, actually ended up jumping in as the ambassador. Actually worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like it worked out even better than we imagined.
She really brought the energy. She was fun to work with. It was a long day and like she really killed it. And ultimately, at that point, I was stressing, but like this is the whole point of filmmaking, right? It's just literally problem solving.
Pivoting.
Any moment can throw you off, and you just have to be level-headed enough to be like, there's always a solution somewhere. In most cases, unless you get rained out or something. Yeah. But in this case, we just needed a new talent. I'm like, I think we can find someone, and the story still meshed perfectly.
It actually did better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
it was actually a big win in the end.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, the main talent could only run and be on that shoot for 6 hours. And I'm like, the shoot actually was like a 12+ hours.
Yeah,
shoot.
it was like almost pushing 13.
So we would have been completely screwed. And again, this is a perfect segue into give yourself more time.
Yeah.
All right. Like in all cases, regardless if it's spec or not, like you learn these things over time. But if you're super ambitious, I don't know, how many shots did we can you realistically do a day?
I would say realistically in a day, if you have 12 hours, maybe 26.
And that's like one location.
That's one location. And that's like dialed in setup and everything like that.
Yeah, like
and
full
then,
previs, full huge crew,
Yeah,
all these
yeah,
things.
Yeah. Because like I've shot commercials where we have to do 9 shots and we push 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
you
But
just do well because no one thinks about takes.
yeah.
No one thinks about the setup or the transition time.
Yeah, especially like us as filmmakers, and then a lot of you guys in terms of you doing a lot of the things like directing, DPing, producing, all that stuff. You're just like put the talent in front of the camera, just do it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We only need 5 minutes. Nah, you need like probably 15 to 20.
Yeah, that's the thing with commercial. It's so one detail can go wrong, and then
Yeah.
when they have moving parts, like maybe there's multiple people moving at the same time, or a camera and a person moving, and you need things to line up perfectly.
Mhm.
Even though the shot's 1 second, you're like, oh man, that wasn't it. We got to reset this again. Reset this again. And
One
then
more
suddenly
time. One more time.
It's like you think you scheduled it in for 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, we're 20 minutes already
Yeah.
for the setup, and we're like, we haven't even started rolling yet. And so this is even with an AD and everything. This is just the nature of commercial filmmaking. And without a previs, we'll get into this with all production, but we'll dive back into it. So
Yeah, talent changed. You figured it out.
Figured
We're
it
good to
out.
go. Back on.
yeah,
And then so we divided the production into 2 days because again we were working on a lot of favors, and then Breathe actually needed the studio to do a rebuild on Sunday or something like that. So I think we did a pre-light on the Friday.
Yeah.
Or it was the Saturday, whatever. And then the full production, which was all studio in the morning, and then shooting on location at the track. And then we came back to the studio, pack everything up, and then shoot inserts as well.
yeah,
So when you're planning a spec and you have to prioritize the shots that you need with your talent, and that's exactly what we did because we saw that we needed a bunch of inserts for this commercial, which were lights, cameras, and then also the medical equipment we needed inserts for. So we're like, okay, can we shoot the lights and camera somewhere else? And that's exactly what we did. So we could save it for another day. You don't waste an hour doing it.
yeah.
And
when you
then
have talent there specifically, you don't waste your time.
yeah,
doing-
you're like, hey, we're gonna just shoot this for an hour, and they're just sitting there,
yeah, getting cold. And all
waste
that.
of time,
Yeah.
right? And then the medical equipment, we're like, we're only renting it for that one specific day. We have to shoot it on the day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that you have to think about when you're scheduling something. Inserts or something that you can shoot completely separate that doesn't involve talent. Don't crowd your production day.
Yeah. So let's dive into the shoot day.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think we can go into the pre-light because this
Yeah.
was a pretty ambitious setup that we wanted to do. So when we talk about the clinical one, because that's one we started on the production day, it was world building and not necessarily a lot of lighting, right? We had the flats, we had the psych. It all had to be lit evenly and then also feel like some sort of clinical room. So we had the treadmill, which was great. We had the medical equipment as well as the mask. And then for my aesthetic, I asked them like, oh, like I think at this point we need to see the light fixtures. So it feels like a room that's built out,
Yeah.
but not too built out.
Yeah.
Right. So then we did the classic buy some stuff on Amazon. And then I bought these light fixtures that are like the ones that hold fluorescent bulbs with their LED. Took them apart and then I placed Titan tubes in them and then I hung them on a menace arm. So that was like super ambitious, but that's the only way that I thought I could do it. And then I had this contraption with like the chains and the making like a T-bar cross with a with speed rail and everything. And that was just working with the equipment that we had.
Yeah. I would love to stay in each scene here because I want you guys to hear about all the stuff that we had to get through to even get to this production scale.
Yeah.
Because it's a spec project. You don't have $100,000+ to do all these things. Like Zach had to just build and buy a fluorescent light, find a chain pulley system so he doesn't have to go back up there on a skyjack or whatever and like make a small adjustments every time. And we know we have a tight schedule. So how do we make this as quickly and as efficiently as possible?
Yeah,
So-
and I feel like when it came to this, and the grip I was working with, like he just came on a favor, and we always pay up people, but it's significantly reduced. And he's like, "Oh, why don't you just do all this stuff from the ceiling?" I'm like, "Yeah, we don't have time. Like we didn't have time to rig everything up properly in terms of obviously everything was safe."
Yeah.
But we had to do it in a manner that was quick, easy, and at least a margin of factor of safety that everything could go well, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I just built on my own,
yeah.
and that's just the nature of spec. The main reason why we wanted to break down this 6-figure project is to tell you why pre-production is so important. And this is the one thing that has changed my career as a cinematographer and mainly us as a production company. The pre-production playbook is my entire process as a cinematographer, from director alignment all the way the day before your shoot and every step in between. I don't really hide anything. This is everything that I do on the projects that I do today now for Tenfold, as well as anybody else. So I would love to invite you guys to check out in the link in the description below. Get the pre-production playbook today.
Yeah, even when it came to the prep side for the world building, we had walls that we had to bring in from like Hamilton that needed to be built and make, scale wise and see how big it is to kind of like make it look clean. As much as we knew VFX was going to come in and clean stuff up, like you just want to get as much practical stuff.
There's
as
only
possible.
so much you can give them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have to do a lot.
Yeah, you can't just be like add a door, or add a window or whatever. And then the treadmill itself was like the most stressful part of the whole bit. Like, because I have very specific standards.
Wanted this specific,
I needed this specific Woodway treadmill. I didn't want just a treadmill from like Good Life or something like that because it looks cheap. Like, this is a sterile room. This should be high tech, classy, clean. Like, I wanted the lines to be very specific. And this is the stuff that was going through my head. Like, this is the stuff I was fighting for. And Zach doesn't really care about so much. But the downside of it was to get this specific treadmill, we scoured the entire city and it cost us $2,000 for a treadmill for a spec project. And that's the level
for a day.
To rent for a day. Someone owned that treadmill, made almost like a fifth of the treadmill cost.
Bag.
Just to let us run on it for like 2 hours. And so there was that. When we got the medical equipment, you have to pay like $1,000.
Oh, but tell them about the treadmill. Hey, you're getting there? Okay.
The face mask that we got was like connected to a video projector. And that was supposed to play as like the the medical equipment. But no one sees it from far. So you're just pulling like, we had a face mask we bought on Amazon.
Yep.
We bought like random 2 tubes. They don't even fit. So we just had to tape them on. And then we didn't even plug it into a video projector, obviously. We just stuck it with some tape. And we hope no one could see it. So if you really go back and you look at it, you're like, that's clearly a video projector.
Yeah.
But like we had like crazy wires going everywhere. It didn't work well. She couldn't even really breathe because there was no air ventilation coming through. It was just a mask that was covered.
She was a trooper for sure.
Yeah. So then that's the level of just this first part.
Yeah.
And it pretty much took the whole day just to build the stuff. I think we were still building it up to right about when we were about to shoot.
Right when she landed, we kind of just finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's technically maybe like 5 shots, but all in one scene. It's like one dolly push in.
Yeah, it was a dolly push in and then inserts of her face running, shoes running, and then 2 super slow-mo shots.
Yeah. And so this scene took a long time. Yeah. And as much as we planned it out, this is my whole thing on like the previs. Yes, I know we're just shooting someone running, but we don't know the shot angles yet. We don't know even for the slow-mo, like, oh, you got to get the focus at a very specific point. Because then if you run and then her foot lands on the focus at the wrong time, okay, we got to readjust that. Watching back in Ember, brutal. It's super annoying.
Brutal.
Even a dolly push in, it's like, because I'm someone that likes options in a way, because, I don't really know
timing
yet because we didn't pre-visit and edit. Again, another thing that we always try to push for. As much as I wanted to, we just don't have time. So we wasted a lot more time having to reshoot stuff like
that one shot.
That one shot, we probably shot like 12 times.
Yeah. And then Nick was like, yo, the first one was good.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't spoil it yet, Zach. So we shot that a bunch, the running stuff, did it a bunch. And then we're like, that's 3 hours gone.
Yeah. And then the biggest thing with that was like, again, we had that setup, and then doing the wide was easy because I'm working with a Venice. It's easy to lighten everything, especially with the dual base ISO. And then the funny part is with the dolly, like it's supposed to be a floor dolly because when you are trying to get a wide shot like that and push in, you don't want to see the track. So a normal Dana dolly won't work. You need risers to do that. So then to do it the cheap way, we put the dolly track on the floor, and then we had it risen up like almost, I would say, like 3 feet. And then when you have a heavy camera on that, one little touch makes it sway so much.
Yeah.
Right. So we had it set up on cinder blocks and everything and sandbag the shit out of it. But the proper way to do that is to get a proper like primo doorway dolly or chaplain dolly with track, but
Yeah.
we didn't have time or budget to do that, so we just kind of did that.
You
And
just shitty rigs your
and
way
then I
through.
just was pushing it with one finger.
Yeah. And even at the same time too, we wanted to throw in a photo component to this whole thing, which added extra complexities
Oh yeah, Anthony.
to the
Yeah.
entire project, right?
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing though. It's like we have that choice and option to be like, oh yeah, we could have made our lives a little bit easier, but you know, we find ways to incorporate other people and make something interesting that benefits.
Basically run it like a campaign.
You might as well, right? Mainly because we've already spent all the money on the location, all like the space and talent and stuff. We might as well maximize and build something out as a fuller campaign. So that was the idea there. So that was the first scene.
Yeah, and then going into the Ember stuff of it, I've worked with it before, so I knew the pain points around it, especially how much light that we needed. And then everything just was blasting. All the lights took off all the diffusion.
Yeah, who needs shape?
And that's what you have to do. But luckily, the scene called for that, so I didn't need a lot of neg. So it was whatever. But yeah, we were using all the lights in the truck that we rented, all the lights that we had personally, and it was just like blasting off the ceiling, bouncing everywhere. And then it worked out, but the main problem was having the focus in the right spot, especially for the back of the shoe shot, because she's running in the same place, but you want the focus to land as her kick, right?
Yeah.
Like peaks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
it's not the landing spot. It's like when you push your foot all the way back, the back of your stride.
And then it's like we want to see the logo on the back of the shoe.
Yeah.
Right. So then playing that back a bunch of times, and the user interface on the Ember, it's a wonderful camera, but it is so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So that ate
rough.
up a lot of time. And then from there, I think, yeah, we can just move on to the next scene.
Yeah. Black Void. And so how did we set this up?
So in the Black Void, we had to do multiple things because this was in her head. We had to do the paparazzi.
Yeah.
Right. And then the final paparazzi flash to be like
the big flash.
Slow it down. And then we had to do the running by.
Yeah.
Which was a funny one.
Yeah.
And then we had to do the sprinkle.
Yeah.
The snowflakes.
Yeah, I want to talk about each of these because I'll talk about it from the director's perspective, like which references we were pulling from, the ones I found, the ones I'm like, oh, can we do this? Yeah. And then Zach will talk about it from the technical perspective of how we achieved it. We'll talk about the paparazzi one, which was really that concept of we wanted something visually fast and moving as well in the edit. And so we the idea was like this person is standing in the middle of a black void getting shot with paparazzi shots, right? Mm-hmm. So we've done some variation of this in the bash before, but the idea here, we just bought a bunch of lights and we kind of just popped them off.
Yeah, it wasn't just that because we had a bunch of camera flashes that a bunch of people were using, but then I also put 3 600s up into the rafters, and then they were shooting down at the talent with a Fresnel, and those were set to paparazzi lightning effect, and then plus the flashes going on. So, and then plus an F-22 scene in front of us.
Yeah.
So it was the camera flashes did help because it actually strobed the camera properly. But then you just need so many light sources from everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was our lights plus having those additional camera flashes, which were great.
Yeah, this is probably one of the easier ones, I would say.
Yeah, it was easy.
The final flash there
with the dolly in
was kind of the big moment in that one. The other ones were just kind of inserts, but the big flash was slow motion.
We shot that at 60p.
Yeah, and the idea too was it was from a Euphoria reference. I think it was one of their season openers.
Yep.
Where it's like you get this big flash and then just kind of dims out, and then like they use that to transition in and out. And I'm like, oh, that's an easy transition point. It was fun to try it.
It was very fun to try because I did a bunch of research into that because as soon as you brought it up, I'm like, oh, perfect. They did this in Euphoria with the season trailer.
Yeah.
I don't remember what season it was.
Season 2.
And then they had the BTS of it, and it was just a 18K with a spotlight, and they turn it up, they turn it down because they were shooting all that on film too, right? So very hard to do it when their aspect. But then I'm just like, oh, we can try with the turning up and turn it down, and I can just do live playback, or I can just use the firework effect.
Yeah.
And it worked really well because at the end of the firework effect on any aperture fixtures, it like goes off and then it goes. The dimming curve is very nice. Yeah. Exactly what we were looking for.
And you couldn't set a proper dimming curve, I think, unless you had like a,
if you had a proper DMX board, like you can do it on even though they say that you can do it on the Size Link app, it's so hard to do.
Yeah, we've also done it the jank way before, like trying to like,
and then you just crank it.
Yeah, or like I know we did a project a long time ago where we were literally just on the knob. And I'm like, this looks so bad because I'd like after 10% or something, it just
the
flicks off.
Yeah, and then you start seeing it flicker and everything like that. So I'm just going to use a pre-made effect. It's already there, and then it was just 5 minutes of me getting the timing right, and then Aaron's timing right as well. And then I remember my key grip was like counting for me. He's like, it's going to happen now. And then that's when we got it.
Yeah. As a director, the hardest thing that comes up with this stuff is it's so easy to be like, yeah, we got it technically.
Yeah.
The technical part is easy. It's now up to you. And in this case, me to get Aaron to do the right action and the right thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were leading up to this, I even remember this is like, I got to set, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, I don't know what the face motion and actions are yet. I need to visually see it but I wish I had seen this stuff a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like through a previs, because we could have saved a lot of time in terms of like variations and different shot styles and stuff like that. And it would have given us more flexibility. So we ended up just shooting the same thing over and over again, waiting to get like the playback to be like, oh, that's the right moment right there.
Yeah. And then, you seeing it live on camera was like, oh, Aaron, that's what I want.
Yeah. It's all the small details, right? Like
even her hand,
stuff.
her hand positioning, where she put her head, the direction, her eyes. I get it, right? You need to see it.
It's the small stuff.
Yeah, you need to see it before you can actually be like,
that's what kills your time.
Yep.
Right? Because even like when we're doing the first shot with the push in, it's like, oh, we got to raise her. Like, can we raise this like 1 centimeter? And you're like, that's 7 minutes gone to do one big adjustment like that, right?
Yep.
And so, that's just things to kind of keep in mind as, we go into future specs and all this stuff. Is like, how do you pre-plan? And this is how we teach it now today in CPM. It's like, how do you get as much visuals onto this so you can remove that anxiety, right? Because like, even for me too, it's cool. It turned out really great at the end, but I wish I had a little bit more time to prep it before.
Yeah, of course. We always wish that we could have more time.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't. So you just got to deal with it. The next one was, I think not too special, just dropping some flakes over.
Well, before we did that, we can talk about the running shot. That's one of my favorite shots.
Yeah. So there's a shot where she's standing there and it feels like everyone's kind of running around her. Again, another visualization of like the run world and like just feeling like you're stuck sometimes and then people are just running around you. And I was like, how do I visualize that? And then Dua Lipa had just put out this music video.
Yep.
Where they had done this, where like she's sitting there in the middle singing her song, and you see just like
everybody's in slow shutter,
and we're like, Zach, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm like, oh no, that's easy. Shoot a plate of her and then shoot a plate of the smear, right? It's no problem.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we ran into the same problem because you're like, what works better for the story and what looks best on camera, and it makes sense if she's running. And then everybody is running past her. But then we're like, this looks kind of stupid.
Yeah. That's what happens on set.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, Jason, I think what's going to work best if Erin turns her head at the same time while people are going through.
Yeah.
And that ended up what we were doing. But then we originally had planned to do the Dua Lipa thing where we shot it at normal speed and then do the smear. But then with slow shutter or step printing. But then the step printing shot just looked the best of what we were going for.
Yeah. And so I want to do a quick shout out to the homies that came through for this shot that got cut down to 1 second in the commercial and you can't see any of them.
No,
and so
can't.
Like we were also far out in like, Etobicoke's not that far.
Yeah, Etobicoke's not that
from
far.
the city, but I just felt bad because I'm like, oh man, it's like people get excited to be on set and do these cool things and stuff. And then like brought out like 10 homies to be like, hey,
you want to be an on commercial?
Just run back and forth. They probably thought they were going to show up really big in this commercial. And then you see the commercial, like literally 2 seconds smear, gone. Right?
Yeah, and we could have technically done it with the people on the crew.
Yeah, because you could see nothing.
You
right?
can see nothing. It's just like we stopped it down so much because I shot it at, like, I did a whole video about how to do this, but I shot it at 3 FPS on the Venice, opened up the shutter to 360 degrees, and then on the production monitor on live, it shows you exactly how it's going to look like once you bring it back into post. But yeah, like literally you see Erin and then she looks great, like lit well and everything. And then you see the smears of just people and it's just like trails.
Yeah.
Right. You just need somebody with bright clothes to run by or even walk by. And we could have done it with the crew.
Yeah. And this is the thing where like you're so locked into the production at the moment. You're like, it's fine. Let's move on.
We could have simplified this, but whatever.
Yeah. Like it's something you talk about afterwards. You're like, we didn't need to do that. But it's a learning lesson. We were trying something new. When you try something new without like having all the time in the world to like test things out, you're just figuring it out on the
Yeah,
fly, right?
of course.
But yeah, that was a super fun shot because I think it turned out really great too. Like, I'll talk about this stuff in terms of variation and like building out shot lists in the future when we talk about the post production, because I think that's where it really came into play.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, we move on to the sprinkle shot, which is just, you know, top light, and we just threw it.
No, it was heavy side light, and then the top light that we just utilized, and it was just
Yeah.
bringing in a big frame because that's what we wanted to do. And then I just needed a lot of output because that was Ember.
Yeah.
And then I remember we were trying to, like, you did it so many different times, and we're like, oh, we're not getting it. And then I just scrubbed through the playback, and then there was the in between moment of like the aftermath of the sprinkle that worked.
Yeah, it wasn't the actual dropping because it was too dense. It was like just let it
like kind of sit there.
Yeah.
And then what did we use
What was the reason for that?
No, first, yeah, we'll talk about the reason.
Asbestos.
Is it?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. It was just like broken up like styrofoam
I
or
think she
something
like
like that.
shaved styrofoam.
Shaved something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was a fun, interesting. The concept there was just a cool shot. I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
there
a
was
cool
like
shot.
realistically we could have done that in VFX because it would probably be cleaner as well to
it's
get
always-
more like consistency across.
Yeah, well, they added, I think.
They added to fill it out, so at least they had something reference point wise. But truthfully, sometimes you just throw random stuff in.
Yeah, it was like that's usually like I remember sitting with Casey yesterday, and then we're breaking down a commercial that he was like used as a reference. Then I'm like, I paused it. I'm like, Casey, look at this scene. Does this make sense? He's like, no. I'm like, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. That's all that matters. We had already shot almost like from, I think it was like we were there for super early, like 5 or something like that.
Yeah, like
or
we
6.
internally were there pretty early.
Yeah, and then we needed to get to the York University track by like 2:00.
And that was probably a 30-minute drive.
Yeah, and with traffic maybe like 40. We needed to
45.
land and we needed to bring. It's a full unit move, and so it was very brutal. We knew already. Smaller condensed crew, smaller condensed package. We know what we've been there already. Luckily, location scouting.
Yeah, and then I already did a mock-up of exactly what I wanted there in terms of lighting, as well as the rig that we had to build for the door. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But we already planned that, like, hey, we're gonna send some people out with the truck.
Yeah, and before that, we even go back. Whenever we do projects like this, you have to get as far ahead as possible.
Yeah,
because you know everything is gonna go wrong.
Yep.
Right. So when we got there,
and it did.
That's why I did a previs, right? We had to do
even
from the first shot. We had to like, again, people were building from the day before all the way to the day of.
Yeah.
While we were shooting that, people were already working on the black Duvetine shots and like prepping all that.
Yep.
While we were shooting the black Duvetine shots, they had already moved.
People already moved to the track. But I feel like the right thing that we did is not. I know that you didn't feel that we previs this properly, which we didn't, but we knew the exact 4 shots that we needed.
Yes.
So that was the only thing saving grace. Like, guys, we only need these 4 shots, and they're super easy.
Yeah, and luckily these ones I had very specific references already. Yeah. So when we went to the location scout, we actually did shoot like,
this is what it looks like. This is great. Like we did it on CAD Rage. We did it with the FX3. This is exactly what we want.
We had that part locked in.
Yeah, because we knew
it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So this one's a really fun part because we were already a little late.
Yep.
We were probably like 30 minutes late. We were supposed to leave at like 1. But it was like 1:30 when we left.
1:30, almost 1:45.
Yeah. And so we wanted to get there early, obviously, so we can load stuff in. That's probably going to take 20, 30 minutes still.
And then we had a hard out at like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was like a hard out.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think 5.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't know that until we got there. They're like, you have to get a hard out at 5.
Yeah, like you have 2 hours to shoot this.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard because it's 2:00 right now and we're still loading in.
Yeah.
So we brought everyone over. It was like a rolling lunch almost. So we were just like, eat on the way, guys, because we're already late. And so you can already tell there's not even a full 12, to be honest. When we planned it, it was like more like 8 to 10-ish hours. Again, give yourself more time. This was a bad move. So we got there at 2. Say 1:40ish or so, we started loading stuff in. By the time it was 2:30, was probably when stuff was starting to get up. And the thing too is when you get there, as much as we've planned to send people forward to start like lighting and prepping stuff, by the time we got there, it was like there was still a lot to do.
Yeah,
like it didn't look. It looks not like what you imagine.
It looked jank.
It looks super jank. Yeah, and so we're like, doesn't matter at this point. This is like our core scene. This is like the full, like you said, spine of
we
the
need
whole
to
thing.
shoot it
We need to shoot it
regardless.
regardless, and we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But when you got there, what was the first thing that people told you?
Yeah, so I worked with Diego a lot, and then I know that he has a lot of grip experience, especially doing staging. Like he can build stages, and that's what he usually does. So for the door specifically, I just built out a simple 2x4 frame, broke it down, labeled it, took pictures of everything, sent it to Diego, gave him my tools, and was like, "Hey, can you assemble this?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem. You know Diego. I love Diego."
Yeah.
Right. And then then we're just gonna hang black over it, and then put an artificial silk, and then put a bunch of lights in there, and that's gonna be our door.
Yeah.
Right. Because I knew that we could do a lot in post. And then Diego sets it up perfectly, and then he says like, "Hey man, you need a cross brace up here because the weight of the duvetine is just bringing everything in and collapsing it." And I'm like, yeah, I should have done that. It would have taken me 5 minutes to do, but I didn't fully plan that because I didn't have the duvetine on site to when I was actually building it in my parents' garage. Right. So when we look at it, we're like, why is the door not straight?
And it's like crumpling in. Yeah. That's the thing too, is like the janky isn't because of the team. The jank is because we didn't have time to test this fully, because visualizing that versus what you've made is very different.
Yeah. And you need to go through iterations on this stuff. You're not ever going to get it on your first try.
Yeah.
Right. And then like I was competent enough, but I'm like, I should have put a cross brace in there because it would have done everything. I was just trying to do it quick and easy, and also with not many pieces, just to make it as easy as possible. Right.
Yeah. And so we're just like, okay, let's just spend 20 minutes. We just got to like clean stuff up. Like, here's what we got to move some stuff around. This is what I envisioned, all this stuff, right? Like, we just have to like reconnect. But then because this is an older building, I remember getting up to our first shot. We were like, oh yeah, things are actually
looking good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had a 1200D as well as a Nova P600 in the actual door. So that was giving us an output in there, because to give you some more context, we were shooting this on the Ember. We needed so much light. And then I had 3 600s on the side of the track, almost like spotlights, just giving us a key side. And then in the room itself, we just were like, leave the lights on. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Right. Because we knew that this was going to be blacked out in VFX. Right.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, everything is set up.
Well, yeah. So here's the concept here too. It's like, even this running section is in Aaron's head. And so it's meant to be a continuation of the black void. And so all you see, because we just wanted to pop out, is the door.
Yep.
Right. And then obviously we want to show some light on
detail
the track.
Of the track.
Yeah. Because we wanted to, like,
a real track.
Realistic, I knew in VFX, I'm like, eliminate everything besides the track and then the door.
Yep.
And so that's the shot we're trying to get at.
Yeah. So I made my life easy because I just needed to get some output from the door and on Erin herself with the shoe, and then on the track. So just splashing a bunch of hard light.
Kind of just turn the rest of the lights.
Yeah, that's about it, right? So we're like, the dolly is set up. It's an inverse dolly, which was kind of jank as well. And then we have all the lights ready to go, and then everything's sitting where it needs to be. And then Jason and I were like, yeah.
We're pretty good on time. There's probably like 3:15.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, we need 4 shots in like 2 hours. Like, that's not bad.
And then,
as we're rolling our first shot,
pop, pop, pop. Not one, multiple. And then we started blowing breakers in this old ass track building. And we're like, oh no.
And guess what? We didn't have a generator.
Yeah, didn't have a generator. Didn't even, like, this is the point of having a tech scout. Your gaffer or whoever's doing your lighting is going to have one of those little tools that's going to walk around and check all your plugs. Right. And I didn't do that. And then we'd even talk to the building of saying like, hey, do we have access to your breakers? This is the number one question you have to ask.
Yeah.
If you walk into a house, a building, anything, do I have access to the breakers? So at that point, we're looking at the PM because the producer wasn't there. And we're like, can we get in contact with the building and ask for the breakers? And they're like, they're going to have to call a guy. And then he's probably going to show up here in 2 hours. And then maybe something can happen.
The funniest part too was like when he called, he's like, hey, like some of these, like these plugs don't work. They're like, oh yeah, production came in last week and they blew all the.
We're like,
didn't tell us anything.
Didn't tell us anything.
Great,
right? So again, it's on our fault for checking, and then also communication. And then I should have just asked, like, hey, can we have somebody on site for that? Or then we could have just got 3 EcoFlows and run everything off of it, or even run lines outside to a 12K generator. No problem.
Yeah. And
but we didn't.
no. So yeah, it's 3:15, and we now don't have our first shot, and all these lights were breaking on us, and we're like, now the stress actually
Now the stress
started to show up.
because we looked in the monitor and we're like,
That's dark.
that's pretty dark.
Yeah, like you can't really do much with this.
But yeah, that was kind of it. And we're sitting here and we're like, I asked everybody, like, okay, can we find plugs and reroute the things? And then we were using every extension cord that we had possible.
Yeah.
And then I just said, everybody just bring the output down to half. And I'd rather have some light than none light. And then we just risk, like, we have to scrap the shot. We have no lights.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what ended up happening. We had like this long extension cord that ran all the way to the other side of the track.
Yeah.
And then I remember with the dolly, it was also sagging. So we had to use some of the weights from the weight room that was there as well. We had some of my team running
like
with
dumbbells.
weights.
It's so
and we were hanging off a tool bag. That was hilarious. But yeah, then we got that first shot. It worked out well.
Yeah.
And then the next shot that we did was the foot one.
Yeah.
And then that worked out well as well.
Yeah. The foot one was tricky too, because again, super slow-mo, the focus, you got to hit very specific marks without marking it. But with a VFX, we probably could have done that actually.
Yeah, but then like Erin had to hit her stride specifically with the focus mark.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, hit here, and I can't tape it. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be seen.
And then the lights were still...
It was still dark.
It was still dark. And the problem with like, this is like a continual thing. For whatever reason, right? It's like, we got that shot, and we're like, okay, it's probably like 4 now. And we're like, okay, we still kind of have 2 shots. We got to do like a closer one to the door, I believe. And then we got to do the side one. The side one being the literally the final shot.
Was the final shot.
Like we knew we needed to get that. It needed to be shot super slow-mo. We had to get the wide, all these different things. Yeah. And then it just...
Yeah. So when it came to that foot shot, I wish I had a little bit more time to actually light it properly and do everything. But it was just like lights just blasting on the side.
There's whatever.
Whatever, right? And then we're like, what it is, what it is. I'm like, it's not, it still worked for the piece and everything like that. I'm not mad about it, but I'm like, I wish I could have done more. You know what I mean? Because it is a product highlight. The colorist and the post team really saved it. But then we moved on to we didn't even end up getting the closer dolly shot.
Yeah. We definitely cut a shot out because time was getting super crazy. And we're like, we got to get to that last shot.
Yeah. Then also we're just being cognizant of like, it's Erin's time and she's been a trooper at this, and like we got to get her out of here too. Yeah. Right. And then we got to load out, and that's when we knew the hard out was. And then
so that's the thing with hard outs. It's not like you finish your shoot at that time. They want you out of there. Like you got to be
off
out
the premises.
No one's gonna be here. They got to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, we already knew that was gonna take at least like 30 minutes minimum.
More than that.
But yeah, so we try to like stretch it as much as we could.
Yeah. And then it came to the last shot. And this is why the FX3 is my favorite camera. So again, we wanted to shoot it on the Ember, and then we swapped to an 18 mil with the Zeiss, but it's a Super 35 camera, so it really didn't work out. And then we tried the 12 mil, and we're like, eh. And then that's when the breakers popped again.
The main lights.
The main lights popped, and we're like, oh no.
And that's like, every time it pops, your brain just goes, oh my God, not again. And then everyone just scrambles, and you're like, okay, like I remember how intense that whole like last 3 hours were.
Oh my god.
Because we were so snippy with it. We're like, everyone's like, hey, you have an hour left. I'm like, don't.
Yeah, and then I hate when people do that of like, hey, we have to be like gone in an hour. I'm like, you're not helping.
Yeah, like you know how many shots we need, and this is the final shot. We like just help us get it.
Yeah.
And so like that was really the game of like everyone just all hands on deck right now. We got to switch this out. We had the Ember out there. It was already kind of and then like the lights popped.
And then it was like, it's not happening. And that's when I looked at, was it Saya who was doing the BTS? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I'm like, give me your camera. And it was the FX3 because we didn't plan on using it for the entire production.
Yeah.
And then I slapped a 12 mil on there. No transmission, no video, just on a tripod, like literally how you get the camera. And then I put a 12 mil on there. And then put 12,800 second base ISO.
Yeah, 240 FPS. That's
240 FPS and 120 just in case. And then we just had the lights in the door. And then I told everybody to clear all the stands and stuff that were in the back. And we're like,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out really well.
And we'll get to the post process because thankfully, it actually all worked out. And it reminds me how much you can really do when you have really great people.
Really good people. Yeah, but we then that was it. When we got out in time, then we throw everything in the car and truck, and then
We were already an hour past the time.
and then it's just like
we didn't really need a hard out.
I felt defeated.
Yeah.
I felt like this. I felt like I failed as a cinematographer. That I wasn't necessarily happy with a bunch of this stuff, and then I feel like it was just we just got it because we had to get it.
Yeah. We just knew that was the shot. Okay, it is what it is. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
But we weren't done the day yet.
No, we weren't done the day yet.
And so we were already so tired. Like
Yeah.
it was probably like 12, 13 days nonstop, small crew.
Yeah.
And then we still had to go back to the main studio at Breathe and then
Finished the loadout, and then also before they loaded out the medical equipment, we needed to get specific inserts with that. And then if you look at the spot, it's like following the heart rate monitor numbers, and then just the screen in general. We needed like maybe 4 shots from that.
yeah.
Right?
I don't think I've ever been so delirious shooting random
Inserts.
stuff. There's parts where like we needed it to like move.
We needed to get the heart rate moving.
Yeah, and it was a real heart rate monitor, so I had it attached to me, and I was just doing jumping jacks, and
Yeah.
I was just like running around trying to like get it to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing? I wish someone was shooting BTS on that. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's just
I
the funniest.
I have it on my phone where it's just you just jumping, and then I have it on. We're shooting on the Venice with the DZO 90mm macro, just because like
That's all we had.
it-
Yeah.
no, it's just it's
Yeah,
a
it's also the
great
best.
lens.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
great lens to do it. And then we just needed macro shots, so it didn't need to match perfectly. And it was just like, all right, Jason, we need this. You said, oh, it needs to hit this number. And I'm like, all right, get to running.
I'm like, oh man, that's like 100 something. Oh, that's a lot.
lot. So imagine going after that production day and then being defeated at the track and then driving all the way back. That was a silent drive.
Oh yeah.
And then now shooting that and then also loading everything out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the lunch was cold.
Oh my. Yeah, the catering company sent us this cold lunch.
I'm
Like the
oh,
producer
that's-
handled everything
yeah,
for us
yeah.
in terms of having
It
it
was
ready
just
to
sad
go.
inside, you know?
Yeah, so I'm like, ugh.
Sometimes you just want some good food
Some good eats.
to get you back. And then I'm like, oh man, let's go, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they-
that was the production. We learned a lot.
we learned a lot.
We realized how to be much more efficient after that. Like how to just plan ahead. But that's the thing. You right after that project, you kind of stopped looking at it altogether.
Oh yeah, I was completely hands off because you're like, hey, here's gonna be the post team and everything. It's just like
yeah, you weren't editing it.
there
It's
there
nice.
was it worked out really well because I didn't even see it until you had a cut that was like, hey, here's where it's sitting at, and I'm like,
Oh, so yeah, we'll dive into this now. Let's
but
talk about
yeah,
post.
I was completely hands off. Didn't even
Yeah.
touch everything. Just prepped all the footage, transcoded it or whatever, and then sent it off to the editors. That was it.
In the old days, you'd be a part of everything.
Yeah,
But then
I'd edit it.
we had moved, ahead to this new space, and like super excited to work with Nick on this project, and I'll dive into that now.
Yeah.
If you have questions, this is a great time to.
Oh yeah,
answer.
no, I feel like it's a great question because I know nothing about that. But I feel like if we took it on internally, I feel like the project would never come out
yes, it would be one of those.
because we were so attached to something that we only have our eyes on, and then you were stuck with not stuck, but you were like, hey, we had to pivot, but this is still what I want. And then me, I'm like, but we only shot this. And then me being just defeated of like, oh,
I don't want to think about it.
I don't want to think about it. Like I can't even visualize what the VFX team is going to do.
Yeah,
But somebody like Nick and who is VFX team, I'm very curious about the
Yeah.
process.
this was cool because I knew we had something, and I was actually more excited because Nick hadn't seen anything already.
Yep.
And so I came at it like, hey Nick, I don't really care where it goes. If you're gonna put your name on this, and knowing Nick too, it's like he wants to put out something that's decent that actually represents his editing style,
Yeah.
and like he wouldn't put out anything that's not good. And so I kind of had like this unwavering faith that it would be fine. You know what I mean? Like if he was gonna work on it, he's gonna figure something out.
Yeah.
And so then gave him all the footage, and I'm like, it's supposed to be 60 seconds, blah blah blah. We sat there for the day, and then we just kind of worked through it. And then I left, and I came back like maybe like a few days later.
Mhm.
He's like, I have like a first draft. I sat down. He's like, the first thing he said is like, yeah, we're not doing it your way. I'm like, great. Like
But
my
he-
initial thing was 60 seconds, long ass VO, whatever. He's like, I went through it. I've done all the variations. Like Nick's so good at this stuff. It's almost like he's just like a secondary director in a way because he's reshaping the whole thing. And he's like, I have it down to 45 right now. and this is all we have. Nick has like some rules when it comes to editing, which makes him great and why he's who he is that like he's like, I don't want to use any of your shots twice.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh man, we don't have that many shots. So then even from that first meeting, he's like, you guys need to get a little bit more of these inserts here. So if you guys can go shoot that, it would fill these gaps.
Yeah, and that's when I shot them at the studio. So all the little white light
Bulbs
transitions
directly in
and bulbs
there.
and stuff that you see in the piece aren't assets that we bought. We actually shot them ourselves. And then I just bought a bunch of lights from Amazon, some LED, some actually incandescent with weird spirals in them. So I had it on a dimmer and I just put it on a C-stand with a electrical outlet, and then I would just dim it on and off. I'd put it at a certain setting, whip with it, do slow shutter, just do a bunch of stuff, right, to have those pops. And then we bought a vintage camera with a flash, and then we used some of the speed flashes that we have just in the studio and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we just shot those inserts ourselves.
Yeah. So we shot those, brought it back to Nick, placed it all in. Another week goes by, and then he's like, this is where it's sitting. And this is a lot of learning lessons that I've learned through this process that we now kind of like instill into all of our work as well as like our students' work. It's like he sat down with me, show me the cut. His trick is like watch it 3 times without saying anything, you know, because the first time you just watch it off of feel.
Mm-hmm.
Second time you start watching with like a little bit more intentionality.
You pay attention.
And then the third time is like you kind of mix the two because you're like, okay, I've already seen this a few times.
Yeah.
And sitting there with silence but before you even like really say much is nice because then you don't have to like rush to an answer or say something to just justify whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to defend what it is. It's just like sick. That's where it's at right now.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, again, Nick's already worked on types of projects where, you know, he knows where VFX is going to come in. He knows where it's going to end up shaping and sort of that experience that we've built as well. And so it was just at a spot where I'm like, oh wait, this is actually kind of good. and the cool thing is going from a 60 to a 30, that's like an ego thing, right? Like if I left it at a 60, it would be so bad. Even at a 45, it was so slow. There was moments like you're just sitting there, you're like, this feels like we're watching this forever.
Yeah.
And so this is something that you have to learn as you guys start to build up. Just because you've shot a lot of stuff, it does not mean you have to use it all, right? There's a lot of scenes even where he cut out completely. There was entire sections where like the story doesn't make sense. Anytime there was a story point where he's like, I've already done this. Like let's not reuse this again. This concept is kind of like too simple. Let's find ways to mix mash or like do big punches in to like change up shots completely. And then one of the biggest things he taught me during that process was, hey, this is a 30-second commercial. You've shot this shot 12 times. How much time did you spend on this? And I'm
an
like,
hour.
Oh, like an hour and a half. He's like, we used 1 second of this and it was never seen again. And he's like,
because I remember, and when we were shooting that, you're like, okay, can we do this at different paces? Because I might want to cut back to this later. It's just because we didn't have a proper previs, and we just use it for the opening shot for a second. Yeah.
What pros do and what you should be doing is creating a previs and sending it to your editor or whoever you're working with, right? Because we could have gotten a lot more shots. We could have got a lot more angles and direction, because if I sent that earlier to Nick, he would have just been like, this is a bad edit. Let me rejig that. Or he would be the one doing the pre-edit for us, right? And so, again, lesson number 1 there is don't spend all your time, like know what format you're shooting in, right? If this was a documentary, we'd probably be holding shots long and having the story play out a little bit more. But he's like, this commercial currently has 30 shots in it, and it's like or like more closer to like 35 because there's inserts in all these moments. But he's like, you don't need to do that one. I wish you had given me more angles.
Yeah.
And so that leads into number 2, which is shoot more variety.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for montage / fast commercial stuff like this. Having more options gives your editor more options to work with, to punch in different angles, so it doesn't feel like you're shooting the same shot all the time.
Yeah, instead of getting us the same angle 12 times, we could have got it maybe in 3 different angles and less takes.
Exactly. And this is something that we used to do as a problem when we first started. More me and Justin, we only had 2 lenses. We had a 25 and a 50.
Wide, medium, tight.
Yeah. And so we were just shooting everything on a 50. And if you don't go close enough or you don't go far enough, everything where you cut from shot to shot looks the same. And so the cool thing the good thing that we did was add a lot more variation through the macros we had, the specialty shots, the
Yeah.
moments. Like this was probably a very well fleshed out in all this, but a lot of people don't realize this was meant to be a 60.
Yeah.
And the best version it could be was a 30.
Yeah, because when we look at the lenses that we shot on, like every scene and shot felt different.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that I asked you in terms of like, hey, where are we supposed to be as a viewer?
Yeah.
I remember like if you look at like the clinical scene, we're watching,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna shoot that on a logger lens through the thing, and then once we're inside there, we're actually feeling, right?
Yeah.
So that usually go closer or wider.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was moments like we had one long lens for one shot. And because we just needed the separation for it. And I remember it was we just took a way step back and then we needed to get like just her chest.
Oh, that was the running pass shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shot that on, it was a 50 or an 85, one or the other.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's just to get that, you're like,
difference.
fill a frame. I'm like, yep, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so those are probably the two biggest lessons we've learned during the editing process. Working with someone that is more specialized, like Nick, that like again, like Zach was saying earlier, he came at it with a completely fresh brain, which is rare because he's just so good at what he does. If it was Zach, he would be so stuck in what we were trying to do, and sometimes that's the bad thing. Sometimes if you do a really clean shoot, the edit's so easy. You just simply put it together.
Yeah, and then also Nick has like the authority to say like, yo, this is a 30, because at this point he's the expertise in that wheelhouse. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of doing what we plan to do, and I'm going to be stuck.
Yeah.
And if I tell you like it's going to be a 30, you're going to push back on me. Be like, no, let's make it.
Yeah, in this case, I'm like, do whatever you want.
Yeah, and then you're like, Nick, do whatever you want.
yeah. You know better. And like, again, it's because the stakes felt a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It's like,
you don't want to be wasting Nick's time.
And also, he doesn't want to waste his time.
Yeah.
So he's only going to put out something good. And this is the beauty of working with other people. Not always do you find people that care about stuff at this scale and level.
Yeah.
You're always looking to find those partners that, again, it's like he's like the variation of Zach, right? It's like Zach cares so much about the cinematography side of things. He cares about the editing side of things. Now it's our goal from where the edit was to keep elevating this, right? So we always talk about who, not how, right? It's like, I'm not going to learn how to do sound. I'm not going to learn how to do color. Let's go find the best people for this. And so from that stage, I sent it to the group. Everyone was like, dope, cool. But none of the VFX was in there.
Yeah.
So we sent it off to, I believe it was Johnny.
But was he operating under Pinky Swear?
I think he was Pinky Swear.
Yeah,
right?
he's still Pinky Swear.
Yeah, I think that was the first project, Pinky Swear. Yeah, so we reached out to Johnny at Pinky Swear, another post-production house in Toronto. And he's worked with projects with us in the past, and he's helped us a bunch. And because it was a spec, everyone graciously did this stuff for pretty cheap or favors.
Cheap, yeah.
And he really just like went crazy.
Yeah, he went crazy.
Yeah, it blew my mind because I was like, what? We didn't even shoot that. Like, how did you black out completely? I was worried about those emergency lights in the wide.
Oh yeah, because we couldn't turn off all the lights in the building, and they were flickering as well.
But he added his sauce on it. Stuff was sick.
And then he actually lit things too.
Yeah.
I'm sick. Like, yeah, because a lot of this stuff was completely crushed, especially when we were doing the wide shot of her running towards the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, he glowed the door.
Yeah,
he made everything out. He added some like spark, like some flow to connect with the other scenes. I'm like, bravo, great stuff.
Right? But because he has that outside perspective, and he's like, how can I make this shot beautiful? You know, they gave me a base.
Yeah.
Right? And because he cares, and he's really good at his job.
Yeah.
And then, the VFX was absolutely...
Yeah, that whole team, great stuff.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was absolutely blown.
Yeah.
And then...
We reached out to House Post after that for color, working with Connor. Someone new as well for us, which like, I would say it's never really a fear when you do your research beforehand on like their style and their skills and what they do well. And so it kind of just like meshed really well because that process was super easy. I always love like being in a color session with the colorist.
Especially when they're excited about it.
Yeah. And it was like, at that point we were past like, is this going to be good to be like, oh, this is going to be,
push it.
This is going to be solid now.
Yeah.
And then we always have like Nick does a base of audio, but then we always work with our favorite sound folks.
That's their secret weapon.
Yeah,
Colton Jackson.
Colton knows. Colton, if you watch this podcast, I don't think you do,
but
you're a guy.
You're the best.
He is. We always call him the GOAT because this guy saves us.
Yeah,
on every project.
The first project that we did with him was on Ben Flanagan, and then when I heard the sound for that for the first time, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-
And then
he is
he
him.
did Cadillac. He did all of our specs.
Yeah, he's done also a lot of our paid projects too.
Yeah.
Don't use him too much because he's getting too busy now.
Yeah, he's getting
No, I
way
was
too
kidding.
busy. Everybody starts using him, and we're like, shit.
Yeah. We should have gate kept him a little bit more. And I was kidding. Colton loves it. Colton works with a bunch of like Toronto folks now too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like the world of how you bring a team together.
Yeah.
And when you can really sell a vision to get people excited. I had to sell the vision to Zach. Zach had to sell it to the team. The team,
I don't have a choice, but
yeah, also that. But you find really great partners that we've done this over and over again with different partners, and we love working with everyone. And like when you really bring in constantly the best of the best, you're like, oh wow, you guys really saved us big time.
Yeah, ultimately it's building a roster of people that you can collaborate with. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, people don't realize this is just purely a relationships game. Like these are real relationships. We talked about, like we talk to these people. We want to work together. We want to all grow together.
Yeah.
And so when you're growing, it's like,
yeah, because if you think about it, we're not using these people for the fashion arm of Tenfold, right?
Yeah.
I just have been working with a Chad on a bunch of spec projects for Adidim and even the stuff we've done with him, his fashion brands. And then I've reached out to people in that world that are specific. For example, like people like Oscar, and that like who does all our sound for that. And it's just like building those relationships in the right places as well. We're not going to ask Colton to score a fashion piece.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
maybe.
No, sorry, we're not asking Colton, who special like his style is
It's kind of like our style.
it's like our sports stuff
Yeah,
and our
sports
narrative
style,
stuff.
yeah.
We're not going to ask him to do something. Oh, he does that.
Yeah, he does
stuff.
like great.
He does actually everything.
He's actually great at everything, but then we just kind of keep people in different like worlds and
Yeah.
pockets because sometimes you don't want to like exhaust all your goodwill with folks as well.
Of course, you want to give them projects that they also can say like, "Hey, this is a portfolio work for me.
Yeah.
I would love to collaborate at whatever this we can exchange." You know what I mean?
And so we learned so much from this project.
So much.
Yeah, it's something that even as we go into new projects, you're always learning. You're taking potential failures and things. Now we expand our our schedule. We give ourselves more time. We do a little bit more previs. We make sure that we know all this stuff ahead of time.
Check our breakers.
Check our breakers. The huge. We never want to make that happen again. But every project's unique. Every project's different. You're always gonna like learn something different about yourself more so. Because I'm like, I gotta be a better director. I gotta like learn how to get the blocking properly. What am I actually thinking about? Like, how do I go deeper than just oh cool, this looks cool technically, but then it's like you gotta get the shots for the moments that you need. Because at the end of the day, Zach did his job. I need to do my job. And if I don't bring good direction or if I don't bring like the right energy on set, it's on my shoulders. It's not, I can't blame anyone else. And so this is always a constant idea of like, you got to get good at what you're trying to do. Whether you're DPing or being a director, you can't just hope your way through things.
Yeah, and the same thing goes with me in terms of like that whole last scene. That's a technical requirement of the location that I didn't check. So as soon as things don't start looking of how we planned and intended, that's totally on my fault, right?
Yeah. But then you find a solution and you're like, that solution was also my solution, So it's the good and the bad. And that's part of the game of filmmaking, right? We literally problem solved the entire way through this project.
Yeah.
And that's just spec, but at a bigger scale. And so I'm excited when it comes to our next spec where it's like, can we get that scale again or even bigger, but optimize how we spend money, optimize how we shoot it, optimize post-production, all these different things. And then you just get better and better. This is like the process we've been doing over the last 4 years or so. And it's fun.
I love this
It's
project.
cool.
Learned a lot, and
Yeah.
we apply it to every project that we do now.
Yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to every person that jumped on this set because thank you all. We always do it because we love it, and we hope you guys enjoy some of it at least. But it always has something cool coming out of it at the end, and we hope you guys are, learning something at least because we sure learn a lot from these projects. So. Yeah, that's spec work as a whole. This is another breakdown from us. If you guys are interested in doing more of these breakdowns in the future or us doing these breakdowns for other projects we've done, whether it's paid or spec or whatever it is, we love talking about it because it's fun. There's always these hurdles and challenges. We always love the clients, the people that we work with, and it's always just something new. That's filmmaking. So
That's filmmaking.
we'll see you guys in the next one. If you made this far, right, defy. Yeah, we both were locked in for that
Yeah,
one.
we
Right,
locked in for
defy
that one.
in the comments, so we know you're one of the real ones. Everyone's a real one, but you guys are the real ones. So we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.